Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian, and I have decided I will vlog daily from my country Ukraine since the start of this awful war with Russia. And in my daily videos I try to update you on the important real-life situations in my country Ukraine, and of course I'm always glad to answer your questions and to clarify some facts from our history, our culture, our background, or whatever interests you. And today I want to speak a little bit about the general mobilization in Russia that is supposed to start really soon, maybe even today, according to the secret services, intelligence services work of the United States. And it seems to me that the White House has even announced this information that pretty soon Russia will start its general mobilization. At the very beginning of this war, it was something that many Ukrainians and global normal people feared, but now we consider it a sign of Russia's failure and inability to win this war. Well, first of all, there are definitely signs, apart from the results of various researches and observations, there are real signs that Russians plan to do so. And today, the parliament, Duma, has changed and added some new terms to the constitution of Russia, starting with martial law and finishing with mobilization and criminal responsibility if you avoid mobilization. So this pretty well demonstrates the fact that Russians are preparing to announce this general mobilization, and for us Ukrainians it is a sign that first of all, they don't have enough powers to continue war on the territory of our country, and secondly, many good things for us Ukrainians may happen inside Russia as people will start to protest. After so many failures, after so many victims among Russian soldiers in this war, it is obvious. Do you hear people singing national anthem? Sorry, outside. I live in the center and there are some minuses of living in the center. So, one more thing that many Russians do not want, even those who are military, do not want to come and fight in Ukraine because they understand it is to some extent a death sentence. Many of them return back home in packets, in coffins, or lacking vital parts of their body. And it is already a fact that many soldiers who get the news that soon they will be transferred to Ukraine, harm themselves, shoot themselves, I don't know, break legs, shoot in the knees, try to find various diagnoses to avoid coming to Ukraine, because there are already lots of horror stories what happens to them on the battlefields of Ukraine. Another important thing is that many of them are demotivated. Many of them perhaps do not understand the reasons for this war, and also they see the attitude of Russia to soldiers and especially to the wounded soldiers. Many of them are left to die on the fields of Ukraine. Many of them do not receive help and rehabilitation they need. Of course, they don't receive money they need, and in general it all looks very depressive. So general mobilization is not a huge problem for us Ukrainians, but it can turn out into a serious problem for Russians. Well, first of all, we are not afraid of the army of engineers, IT specialists that can come from Russia to Ukraine, because they are not professional, they are not motivated, contrary to Ukrainians, because even non-professional soldiers in Ukraine are very motivated, because we are fighting to protect our motherland. Here we have a totally different situation when an engineer, let's say from St. Petersburg, can be sent to fight in Ukraine. I'm sure there are not many reasons that inspire him to do so. So it is very likely that pretty soon different protests will start on the territory of Russia. Of course, they are traditionally very passive when things are about attacking other countries. They try to avoid political questions. They pretend that everything is like fine, and they don't care what is going on in Ukraine, or on contrary, they support this special military operation. But when the things become personal, and almost every Russian family can feel this war in Ukraine, when their sons, husbands will be mobilized, perhaps the reaction will be more vivid. Taking into account, once again, this war in Ukraine is very deadly for Russians. So it may be that the protest will become more visible, and the situation, the political situation inside Russia will be less stable. Also, the martial law presupposes that many of the expenses of state expenses are transmitted into military reasons, which means that general Russians will become poorer, they will have less services, fewer goods, and in general, once again, this may lead to dissatisfaction with Putin, his regime, and something like that. So if they do not care about this moral aspects, psychological aspects of the war, maybe they will start thinking about their relatives, about their families, and about the very likely possibility to die in Ukraine. And the song about Putin, I hope you can hear it. Okay, I don't know, these people, they are walking from the pub that is nearby, and you know, I record with just one shot, and you hear what they say about Putin. This is a very, 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 very popular song inside Ukraine. With this general mobilization, Putin first of all demonstrates that he lacks soldiers and he lacks strength to continue war in Ukraine. Also, he provokes Russian society, and professional Ukrainian soldiers trained with the support of NATO countries and our allies are not afraid of this non-professional Russian soldiers. Plus, mobilization presupposes some training, and they don't have enough strength in Russia to conduct trainings now, because the majority of their military are involved in this war in Ukraine, and also they don't have enough places for that. They were actually not prepared for a full-scale war that they have started in Ukraine in February. They thought it will be a blitzkrieg, but they failed, and now we have to use this failure and to finally win Russia, and not just to win this war, not just return back to the borders of Ukraine of 1991, but also to inspire, to push and make Putin's regime fall. And then there are lots of things that must be done inside Russia. So let's just observe and wait when Putin announces this general mobilization, and let's hope that everything goes according to the Ukrainian plan. Thank you once again for your support. Thank you for buying me coffees and becoming my patrons. Please introduce yourself to our new project, Soviet Myths Debunked, which describes how old USSR myths still fuel modern Russian military machine. Let me know what topics would you like me to include in future vlogs, and also in the Soviet Myths Debunked series. And of course, traditionally and most importantly, we are very grateful to all our countries, friends that support Ukraine during this awful war, which we must win. Slava Ukraini!